Yo, what's up, guys? It's Noah here. We got a very exciting video today because it is officially the start of the NBA season on Tuesday, and we got a two-game DFS slate to talk about. Usually, every NBA season to start off the year, it's always like a two-game slate on opening night, but it's usually two good games, and that's the case once again here. We got the Sixers and the Celtics playing, and then we got the Lakers and the Warriors playing. I'm excited to watch my Lakers play. I don't know what we're gonna get from the Lakers this year, but I'm just excited for NBA to be back, man. It's the best time of the year right now with NBA starting up. NFL's in full swing. The MLB playoffs are going on. Like there's nothing better than this time of the year. But what we're gonna do, guys, in these DFS videos, we're gonna go game by game. We're gonna talk through each one of these two games, kind of break down each team, give my early thoughts on the slate, what I do like, kind of taking a first look on Monday night or Monday afternoon when I'm making this video. As always, guys, my DFS videos, these will be kind of first looks of the slate. I do always make these the day before or the night before. I will be providing a lot more up-to-date, in-depth content for DFS over on Patreon. So if you guys want to check out the Patreon, you can check that out. It's linked down below in the description. You can see everything that I provide on Patreon, what you get access to. You also get access to our Discord chat where you can always ask me any lineup questions, 2v2s, 1v1s, whatever it may be. I'm always in Discord to answer Patreon members' questions. And for those of you that are new or maybe you've never played NBA DFS, or if you have played NBA DFS, it's a sport that you have to be quick to react to news. Early on in the season, it's not as crazy, but later down in the road, later the season there's going to be random late scratches. Guys are going to get ruled out. There's going to be lineup changes. Like you always have to be on top of things with NBA. So if you want more up-to-date, in-depth content from me, check out the Patreon, link down below in the description. And also, if you are new, be sure to check out the sponsor of this video, Prize Picks. So we're going to be talking a lot of Prize Picks this season. I will have separate videos on the channel talking about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is a player prop based DFS site, very simple and easy to use. You're just taking more or less on a player's projection. And do want to give a shout out to Prize Picks because they are running a really good promo right now. They have Steph Curry's points prop set at 0.5. This is a free square, a free pick that Prize Picks is giving you. And it is available all the way up until 10 o'clock Eastern time on Tuesday night when that Lakers-Warriors game starts. So you have plenty of time to get this promo in. It's a max, I think, of $20 or $25. I honestly can't remember. But you definitely want to be maxing out this promo. You have to just find any other pick that you'd like to pair with that. And it does not have to be an NBA pick. Since this is an NBA video, I'm sure all you guys follow NBA, so you probably would play it with an NBA pick. But you can take a look at their board for other sports as well, NFL, MLB, NHL, if you're into that stuff. You can mix and match sports on Prize Picks. But definitely take advantage of this promo. And when you do sign up for Prize Picks, guys, make sure to use promo code NOAH. When you actually sign up with my promo code, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. And I will be providing some picks I like for this two-game slate. It's going to be hard to find a ton that stands out because there's only two games. But later in the road, later down the season, we're going to have days where we have a lot of games, and then I'll be able to provide a lot more picks there. I do also give out more Prize Picks plays on Patreon, so outside of the picks I give out on YouTube in my YouTube videos, I do provide more stuff on Patreon. Any other picks I like that I'm playing, I give those out on Patreon. I give a full write-up as well for each play. So again, check out the Patreon content if you're interested in that. But sometime on Monday, shortly after I make this video and upload this one to YouTube, I'll have a Prize Picks video posted talking through some Prize Picks plays I like for the two-game NBA slate. So if you want to check that video out and pair those picks with this Steph Curry promo, you can obviously do that. Again, this is available up until Tuesday at 10 o'clock when that Lakers-Warriors game starts. Make sure to take advantage of these type of promos whenever Prize Picks runs them. And if you're not signed up for Prize Picks yet, get over there, sign up, use promo code NOAH, and get your first deposit matched up to $100. But let's talk through the two-game slate, guys. We're going to start off with the first game, and then we'll talk about the next game. We'll start off, though, with Philly and Boston. So looking at these two teams, and we're definitely going to talk about like starting lineups and what I think the starting lineups are going to be. I think for these two teams, it is going to be very easy to predict what the starting lineups are going to be. I think for the Sixers, it's pretty much going to be Harden, Embiid, Tobias Harris, Tyrese Maxey, and PJ Tucker. Without Danny Green now, I think obviously PJ Tucker is the likely guy to replace him in the starting lineup. And then on the Boston side, Boston's pretty much their main group of guys. It's pretty much the same roster that they had last year. They did make a big addition getting Malcolm Brogdon, but I think Brogdon's going to be used as like a sixth man. I don't think he's actually going to start. So starting lineup for Boston should be pretty much what it was last season. Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford. Derek White will probably start since Robert Williams is out, and then Marcus Smart as well. I think when Robert Williams is healthy, he'll be in the starting lineup, but for right now, it's going to be Derek White. So we're going to know what the starting lineups are for these two teams. It's the first game of the slate, so we'll have all that news before lock anyways. But just kind of starting off with like the top tier players in this game. So we have Embiid at 9,900, Tatum at 9K, Harden at 8,900. There's nothing negative you can really say about any of the studs on a 2-game slate. Like, clearly all these guys are in play. Embiid, last season, Embiid was one of the top fantasy producers. I mean, he averaged 55 Draftkings points per game last year. He had a 38% usage rate. He averaged 1.63 fantasy points per minute. I do want to mention that since it is the beginning of the season, you're not going to see starters play massive minutes. Obviously, like in the playoffs, Embiid was playing 36, 38, 40 minutes. They're not going to play that much to start the season. They'll probably play like 30 to 32 if I had to guess. You can look at last season, like to start the year, Embiid was playing 30, 33, 30, 31. That's probably what he'll play here. But still, 30 minutes from Joel Embiid, he could put up 60 DraftKings points here. He's the highest priced player on the slate, but I think for good reason. Nothing really negative to say about Embiid here. Boston, they're a pretty good defensive team, but Embiid's a matchup-proof player. He's a guy that's going to stuff the stat sheet and do everything when he's on the floor. And then Jason Tatum, last season, he was a very high-usage guy, had a big role, obviously, with the Celtics. He had a 32% usage rate last season, averaged 1.29 fantasy points per minute. I think he's the guy that's probably going to be like the lowest owned of all the studs because you think about that other game, you have Steph, you have LeBron, you have AD. I think Tatum is kind of, I don't want to say he's overpriced, but I think he's a little bit overpriced compared to the other studs. We will talk about some of these other guys in the late games. I think I would prefer like Steph and LeBron over Tatum, but that's not saying Tatum's a bad play here. It's just that, we can't play all these studs, and I think Tatum's probably one of my least favorites. Just because he's not going to average the same amount of fantasy points per minute as a guy like Embiid is. I mean, again, Embiid averaged like 1.6 fantasy points per minute last season. Tatum averaged 1.3. That's a big difference. And they're probably going to play similar minutes. Tatum might play a few more minutes. I will say Tatum is one of like the best conditioned athletes. So if anyone could play like 37, 38 minutes right out of the gate, it's probably Jason Tatum. But I'm not in love with Tatum on this 2-game slate. And then James Harden, it's tough to tell what we're going to get from Harden this year. Like, he didn't really show a ton of fantasy upside in Philadelphia last season. He wasn't the same guy that he was when he was at Houston, even when he was at Brooklyn. Like, he didn't show that triple-double upside. He had some triple-doubles last year, but he wasn't a guy that I really ever played a ton in DFS. I don't think that's going to be the case either here on this 2-game slate. Like, him and Tatum are probably my 2 least favorite pay-up options, and I think they will be the lowest owned. So, like, in tournaments, I think DraftKings is running like a $5 tournament with like $200K to first. Playing a guy like Tatum and Harden together, like just to be different, could make some sense because we know Harden has upside. I just don't think he's not a priority for me on this slate if I'm just playing one lineup. And then you have Jaylen Brown at 8K. He's a fine mid-range option. I think he's kind of priced where he should be. Last season, Jaylen Brown, 30% usage rate, averaged 1.15 fantasy points per minute. Now that they do have Malcolm Brogdon, you might see the usage rate go down a little bit for these guys, for Tatum and Brown, because Brogdon is a high usage player that can handle the ball, and when he's out there, he's gonna facilitate, he's gonna dominate the usage. I won't say dominate, but he's gonna get some usage when he's out there. So maybe Brown doesn't average as many fantasy points per game this season. He's still a fine play at 8K, but I'm not running to roster Jaylen Brown on this slate, especially when you have we're going to talk about Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is only $500 more. I think I'd rather play Anthony Davis. I'd rather get up to LeBron or Steph Curry or Embiid. So not really in love with with Jaylen Brown. But in the mid-range, in this lower mid-range, we got some really solid options here. So Tobias Harris is only $5,900. He definitely stands out as just a very safe, high-floor option. Like, I think if you're playing cash games on this 2-game slate, Tobias Harris is probably going to make my cash. He would probably make my cash game lineup just because he's going to project pretty well at this salary. And I think, looking at this point in the year, like 2022 NBA DFS, I need 6x value or I need 5x value from a guy. Like, that's not really the way I look at things anymore. It's just DFS has changed from what it was 5 years ago. But I think Tobias Harris is very likely to give you 5x, 6x value. He's probably going to get 30, 35 DK points. Last season, Tobias Harris, he averaged, I believe, just over a fantasy point per minute. He averaged, 0.95 fantasy points per minute. He's probably going to play, low to mid 30s minutes if I had to guess. At 5,900, that definitely feels a little bit too cheap for Tobias Harris. So I do like him quite a bit on this slate. And then you have Marcus Smart at 5,200. Marcus Smart, we'll have to see if he plays here. It looks like he tweaked his groin during their last preseason game. I don't think that's going to impact his status for Tuesday. I think he'll have plenty of time to get prepared for this game. But definitely we'll have to monitor that up until Tuesday night. But Smart, he's probably going to play, again, low, mid-30s minutes. I do worry a little bit about Smart's usage and ball handling. I think now that they do have Brogdon, Brogdon could be a guy that comes off the bench with a second unit and gets a lot of ball handling opportunities, which could definitely take away from Marcus Smart. So a little bit worried about Marcus Smart, and I'm a little bit worried about his production this year, but 5,200 is really cheap for him. I think he's another guy in this mid-range that does stand out as a very solid play. And same with like Tyrese Maxey. I mean, Tyrese Maxey's only 5K. Boston, they're a really good defensive team, but I think Maxey's just too cheap here. Maxey's another one of their young guys, and he's one, like kind of similar to Jason Tatum. Maxey's one of these guys that can handle playing big minutes if he has to. I don't think we're going to see a lot of starters play huge minutes, but Maxey should get probably mid-30s minutes here. 5K is definitely too cheap for him. I mean, most nights, Maxey's going to average close to a fantasy point per minute, and most nights he's going to play mid-30s minutes. Again, matchup's kind of tough, but the 5K price tag definitely makes Maxey stand out as a solid option. And then you got guys like Brogdon and Horford. I mean, if we're talking about value plays, like these kind of guys, like Tobias Harris down to Horford, this is kind of where you find your salary relief. And I will say that on this slate, like the pricing is very soft. DraftKings, it seems like they kind of price down everybody to just make it easier for people to build lineups. I mean, Brogdon at 4,900, we don't exactly know like what Brogdon's role is going to be with Boston this year, but he should be their sixth man, and he probably will play about 28 to 30 minutes a night. Brogdon historically has been a pretty productive player when he's gotten minutes. Now that he's playing alongside Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, is he going to have like a really high usage rate? Maybe not. Like his usage is probably going to definitely take a hit from what it was when he was with the Pacers. But if he's playing 30 minutes a night at 4,900, like he's viable on this two-gamer. I think Malcolm Brogdon's definitely in play. And then I like Al Horford quite a bit as a value option. He's only 4,900. He should be starting at center for the Celtics here. And Horford historically has produced way better when he started at center without Robert Williams. So last season, Al Horford, looking at his points per minute, he averaged 1 fantasy point per minute last season, playing alongside Robert Williams. Now, if we take Robert Williams off the floor, Horford's fantasy points per minute, they do go up, I do believe, a little bit. He went from averaging 1 fantasy point per minute to 1.1 fantasy points per minute. So definitely sees a nice boost. His rebounding numbers are going to take a spike up as well, playing at center. And we know Al Horford's one of these guys that can do everything when he's on the floor. He can score, he can rebound, and he can get assists as well. Horford was amazing in the playoffs last season. Is he going to be that good this season? I think there's going to be some regression coming for Al Horford. I don't know if he's going to be as good as he was in the postseason, but 4,900 is definitely too cheap for Al Horford here, especially with Robert Williams out. Getting all of his minutes at center is going to be a nice boost for Horford. I like him a lot as a value play. I think he's definitely one of the better values overall. And then talking about some of these bench guys, so I do want to mention, lastly, Derek White. I think Derek White is going to start for the Celtics, and he's only 4,100. Like, he looks like another really good value. He'll probably play anywhere from like 25 to 30 minutes. I don't know if he's going to see like mid-30s, like a lot of those other starters will. But I think 25 to 30 minutes is pretty likely here for Derek White. And again, he's only 4,100. He's gonna project out as a pretty good value play as well. But like the bench guys, it's always tough at the beginning of the season to go to bench guys just because we don't exactly know how the minutes are going to be spread out amongst the bench guys. D'Anthony Melton, like he's a really good point per minute player, but how many minutes is he going to play per game with the Sixers this year? I really don't know. He's someone I think you can take a shot on in large field GPPs just because he is productive when he does get minutes. Montrezl Harrell is going to basically just back up Embiid. I doubt Harrell and Embiid are going to play any minutes alongside each other. So if we get like 33, 34 minutes from Embiid, that probably means that Harrell is only playing like 13, 14 minutes. So I don't know if Harrell's going to really be viable, but he is a good producer when he does get minutes. But like I don't think I'm going to anyone else. I mean, Blake Griffin, how much is he going to play with the Celtics this year? I don't know if he's really going to play enough to be worth rostering on this slate. Grant Williams is probably going to have a good role. He was a guy that he had a pretty good role in the postseason for the Celtics last year. And while Robert Williams is out, I think there will definitely be minutes available for Grant Williams. He's only 3,900, so if you're looking for like a true punt play, and below 4K, I think Grant Williams is viable. But I'm really going to try and stick to starters for the most part. Like I think you can roster some bench guys, but I'm a little bit worried about the bench guys just because we don't exactly know how minutes are going to be spread out to start the season. If I was going to take a shot on some bench guys, I would want to take a shot on guys that are really productive in the minutes they get. So like a D'Anthony Melton or maybe a Montrezl Harrell. But Harrell again, I don't think he's going to play a ton. He's probably just going to back up Embiid. PJ Tucker we didn't really mention. I do expect PJ Tucker to start. He's 3,700, so he's really cheap. But like we know what PJ Tucker is. He's not going to produce much when he's on the floor. He's just out there for defense. He's going to shoot threes. Maybe he'll grab some rebounds. You got to hope that he makes a couple of corner threes. He gets like 4 or 5 rebounds, and maybe he gets a steal or two. Like, that's kind of what you're banking on for PJ Tucker. 3,700, like, he's cheap enough that I think he's in play, but obviously there's not much upside there. At this point we know what PJ Tucker is. But I think that's really it for this game. Like, I don't see too much else I'm going to go to here. Again, like taking shots on some of these bench guys you could maybe do in large field tournaments, but for me, someone that plays just one lineup, I don't think I'm really going to go to anyone else, besides the guys that we talked about. So let's go ahead and move on to the next game, the Lakers and the Warriors. So this is definitely this is the tricky game. We know what the Warriors starting lineup is going to be. They're pretty much, they pretty much got like the same team they had last year. At least their main group of guys is all the same. Steph, Wiggins, Poole, Thompson, Draymond. James Wiseman's healthy now. But the starting lineup, it should be basically the same starting lineup that it was last year. Steph, Clay, Wiggins, Draymond, and then Kevon Looney. I'm guessing that's who Golden State is going to start. The big question, though, and I think what's going to really impact the slate is who do the Lakers start? Because we have no idea what the Lakers starting lineup is going to be. We obviously know that LeBron and AD are going to start, but there was reports that maybe Russell Westbrook would come off the bench this year. Do the Lakers, do they want to play Anthony Davis at center? We don't really know, so they might start like Damian Jones or someone else, like maybe Thomas Bryant. Like, we just don't really know. I think the most likely scenario is that AD starts at the 5, LeBron starts alongside AD, and then some combination of Russell Westbrook, Patrick Beverly, Lonnie Walker, I think, might be a candidate to start. Kendrick Nunn might be a candidate to start. Even Austin Reeves might be a candidate to start. So, like, some combination of those 5 guys, Reeves, Lonnie Walker, Patrick Beverly, Westbrook, and who else? Who am I missing? Lonnie Walker, Reeves, Patrick Beverly, Westbrook, and Kendrick Nunn. Like, some combination of those 5 guys, it will fill out the starting lineup alongside LeBron and AD. But that's going to be the tricky point of this slate. And since this is a 10 o'clock game, I don't know if we're going to have the Lakers starting lineup before lock. I don't know if we're going to get any news on that. So you will definitely have to be paying attention to that. We'll talk about that, though, in a second, though. Let's, kind of talk about the studs here. So we got Steph at 9,400, LeBron at 9,200, and Anthony Davis at 8,500. I think Steph is, firmly in play on the slate. We know what Steph can do when he's out there. He's going to get some rebounds. He's going to get some assists, but he's really, scoring is what Steph thrives in. And the Lakers last season, they were a team that played pretty fast. Last season, the Lakers, they were 7th in pace, so I think it's a pretty good matchup for Steph. He'll probably see a lot of Patrick Beverly. I'm sure when Beverly's out there, he's going to be tracking down Steph. But Steph is matchup proof. I don't have an issue with going to Steph here. But I think LeBron and AD are probably my 2 favorite studs overall. I mean, 9,200 for LeBron, I still think is too cheap. Like, last season, LeBron was still one of the best fantasy producers last season. And, what is it? This is like his 19th season. I mean, is LeBron going to maybe take a step down this year? Possibly, but until we see it, I think we just have to continue to expect LeBron to be a very productive player when he's on the floor. He averaged 55 Draftkings points per game last season. He had a 33% usage rate. He averaged 1.41 fantasy points per minute. LeBron's going to produce when he's out there, and he's a very well-conditioned athlete, so I think if he has to play like 35, 36 minutes, he can handle that if they decide to play him that much to start off the season. Last season, to start off, their first game of the year, he played 37 minutes for what it's worth. So he put up 61 DK points. Like, he usually comes out and plays really well. Like, LeBron's not a guy that like takes time to get going. Like, usually right out of the gate, he's ready to play and he's 100% good to go, and he's going to produce when he's out there. So I think LeBron's one of the best pay-up options on the slate. I think he has a really high floor, and we know the ceiling is there too. And Anthony Davis at 8,500, he just looks way too cheap in my opinion. We know we're going to get big minutes from Anthony Davis. Last season, to start off the year, first game of the year, he played 39 minutes, and he was really productive. Obviously, the big thing with Anthony Davis is just staying healthy, and we know Anthony Davis, he's going to go to the locker room a lot this season. It's just what he does. He seems to always get injured, but man, when Anthony Davis is healthy, he is a very productive player. He's a guy that's going to average, probably 1.4 fantasy points per minute, somewhere around there. He's going to get a ton of usage. Him and LeBron are going to dominate the usage once again in this Lakers offense. So Anthony Davis at 8,500, I really, really like on this slate. Him and LeBron, I think, are both really, really good plays. Westbrook, it's going to be tough to go to Westbrook, especially if he comes off the bench. 7,400, I just think is too expensive for him. He really didn't produce much last season. Even in the minutes that he got alongside, or even in some minutes that he played without LeBron and AD, like, he still wasn't that productive. He was just a massive headache last year. I would roster Westbrook on the days where LeBron would sit and AD would sit and he would still do nothing. Maybe Westbrook will be different this season. Maybe he'll be more productive. But with the talk about him coming off the bench, that's not going to really make Westbrook stand out on this slate. Andrew Wiggins is $7K. Like, I think he's priced about right. You look at guys like Tobias Harris, Al Horford. Those guys are $3,000 cheaper. I would much rather just take the savings and roster those guys. I know Wiggins is a really good player. He's going to play a lot of minutes. But $7K, he's priced where he should be, especially for the production that he has. I mean, last season he averaged a little bit less than a fantasy point per minute. You can get a fantasy point per minute from Tobias Harris for almost $2,000 cheaper. So at $7K, I'm not in love with Andrew Wiggins here. Jordan Poole, I mean, he's probably going to come off the bench, play high 20s minutes. We know Poole has a big ceiling because he's a great shooter. He can get hot from the field, but I think on this slate, he's just kind of a GPP option. I will say that, with that thing that happened between him and Draymond, maybe he wants to come out here and, show that he's worth that contract they signed him to. This is going to be his first game after signing that massive contract, 4 years, $140 million. So maybe he wants to show out, after getting a big contract. But Poole and Wiggins, I think they're both priced appropriately. I think Klay Thompson's priced appropriately at $6,500. Like, none of these Warriors guys really stand out, especially when you compare their prices to some of those Celtics guys and some of those Sixers guys as well. I'm not in love with many of the other Warriors outside of Steph. Draymond at $5,800. I mean, we know Draymond can put up a triple-double any night. He was very up and down last season. Like, he didn't show a ton of upside last season, and he definitely had a low floor. But, any game, Draymond can go out there and put up 10, 10, and 10. Like, he's got that in him. And he's not super expensive at $5,800. So, like, I don't hate Draymond, but yeah, I'm not in love with many of those Warriors guys. James Wiseman's probably going to come off the bench. I don't think Wiseman's going to play enough to be worth rostering at $5,700. But now we can talk about some of these cheap Lakers. So again, like, we don't really know what the starting lineup is going to be, but I think depending on who starts between Patrick Beverley, Lonnie Walker, Austin Reeves, Kendrick Nunn, there are going to be some value here. I think Lonnie Walker at $4,200, I mean, he's a guy that can score and produce when he's on the floor. Obviously, he's not going to have nearly as good of usage playing with LeBron and AD as he did when he was with the Spurs. But he still can knock down threes, and obviously when you play with LeBron, you're going to have plenty of open looks just because of how much the defense has to focus on LeBron. It's going to allow for some of these other guys to get some open looks. So Lonnie Walker is going to have some opportunity. I think he's going to get some minutes as well, especially if he starts. He'll probably play about 30 minutes. He's in play for value on the slate at $4,200. If Patrick Beverley winds up starting at $4,300, like, I think he's definitely in play. They probably want him out there to guard Steph, so I think whenever Beverley is on the floor, he's going to be running around chasing Steph. There's always a chance he can get some steals and some blocks, because of that. Beverley, again, he's not a great point per minute player, but if he winds up starting, he's only $4,300. He is going to be in play for value. And then Kendrick Nunn, he's actually minimum salary, which was crazy. I did not expect Kendrick Nunn to be minimum salary. I didn't pay attention a ton during the preseason, but I know Kendrick Nunn played really well during the preseason, and he is a candidate to start the season. So if Kendrick Nunn winds up starting, I mean, he's minimum salary $3K. He's going to probably be the best value play overall on this slate. Even if he comes off the bench, I think Kendrick Nunn is still going to have a good role with the Lakers. Now that he's healthy, I mean, when he was on Miami, he was a guy that could score, could produce when he got minutes. He looked great during the bubble. He's going to have a good role with the Lakers this year, and he might even start. So at $3K, yeah, definitely interested in Kendrick Nunn. I think a lot of the value on the slate is going to come from some of those cheap Celtics and Sixers guys that we talked about, and it's also going to come from the Lakers because I think the Lakers are a team that's going to present us with some value depending on what their starting lineup looks like. But then, Kevon Looney, some of these other guys I didn't really talk about a ton, but I don't have a ton of interest in them. Dante DiVincenzo, he's a good producer, but I don't know if he's going to get a ton of usage on this Warriors team, playing alongside Poole and Steph and Wiggins and Klay. I don't know if, DiVincenzo is going to be a guy worth rostering at $4,400. But that's kind of it, guys, for this two-game slate. I think we kind of talked about everything. We didn't really mention, Dennis Schroeder. We're going to have to pay attention to some injuries with Schroeder and Westbrook. I think Schroeder and Westbrook both got injured during their last preseason game. They could potentially sit here, which would obviously open up even more minutes for those guards that we talked about. But Schroeder, if he's available to play, he might start. He's a candidate to start, and he's only $4,700, so he's going to be someone worth rostering. You're going to have to be ready to make some lineup changes, I think. This is definitely going to be a slate. I mean, first NBA slate of the season, and we're already going to have to kind of pay attention to starting lineups just because we don't know what the Lakers are going to do. That's kind of the big question mark right now. But I hope I did a good job kind of breaking down this two-game slate for you guys. I hope you did enjoy this video, and I hope it helped. as always, guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure to hit that like button down below, hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. Check out the additional DFS content I'm going to be providing on Patreon this year. If you want to check all that out, it's linked down below in the description. You can see all that I do provide on Patreon. I will also be giving out Prize Picks plays on Patreon. And if you're new, Prize Picks, again, they're the sponsor of this video. You can check them out. Link down below in the description. And again, when you sign up for Prize Picks, use promo code NOAH, get your first deposit matched up to $100, and take advantage of the Steph Curry free square. Prize Picks is giving you a free pick. Take the over on Steph Curry to have more than, obviously, 0.5 points. And you just have to find any other pick to pair with that. I will be providing some picks I like for this 2-gamer. I'll probably make a separate video that'll go up a little bit after this one. So if you want to check out that video, see some Prize Picks plays that I'm on for Tuesday night, you can obviously do that. Pair those picks with the Steph Curry free square, or just make some picks for yourself. Check out their entire board, though. See all the props that Prize Picks has available for opening night. And Prize Picks, again, they offer a lot of other sports as well outside of just NBA. So you can mix and match sports. You can pair the Curry free square with an NFL pick or MLB pick, whatever you want to do. It's all up to you. But make sure when you guys sign up for Prize Picks, use promo code NOAH. Get your first deposit matched up to $100. But that's all that I got for this opening night NBA slate, guys. Super excited to be talking NBA DFS again this year. I'm excited to be talking about some Prize Picks stuff as well. Again, we'll have some Prize Pick content coming out a little bit later after this video gets posted. But best of luck on this opening night slate, guys. I appreciate you watching these videos. Hope you guys enjoy all the DFS content that I'm going to be providing on YouTube this year. And let's try and win some money on this opening night slate. But best of luck, guys. We'll see you in the next video.